Greek mythology is full of heroes. Achilles, nearly invincible, unstoppable on the battlefield. When he appeared, the enemy started retreating before he even struck. Hector, the most noble prince of Troy, a man who knew he would die and stood up anyway for his family, for his city. Ajax, the strongest Greek warrior. After Achilles fell, it was Ajax alone who carried Achilles' body off the field, refusing to let the enemy take him. Each of these men was greater than Odysseus, in strength, in nobility, in courage. And yet the whole Odyssey is his story, not Achilles's, not Hector's, not Ajax's. Why? Because those three men never made it home. Odysseus did. Not because he was the best, but because he was the one who refused to stop. Let me tell you how each of them ended. Achilles, he knew his fate. His mother, the sea goddess Thetis, had told him, "You have two paths. Stay home, live quietly until you're old, but no one will remember you. Go to Troy, you will die there, but your name will never disappear." Achilles chose Troy. On that battlefield, he was the most brilliant thing anyone had ever seen. He was also the most fragile. When his closest friend, Patroclus, died, he shattered. His grief turned into rage, and that rage made him do things even the Greeks found excessive. He died outside the walls of Troy, Paris's arrow, his one weakness, his heel. He got what he chose, eternal glory. But he never saw Troy fall. He never went home. Hector, Prince of Troy, the kind of man who, even when everyone knew the war was already lost, still chose to stand on the walls. His wife Andromache begged him not to face Achilles. "If you die, what happens to me? What happens to our son?" Hector went anyway. He lost. His body was tied behind Achilles' chariot, dragged around the walls of Troy for days. His father, King Priam, an old man, walked alone into the Greek camp, knelt before the man who killed his son, and begged Achilles to return Hector's body. That scene, the most unbearable moment in the entire Iliad, a father on his knees, in front of an enemy. Hector was the most noble, and he never came home either. Ajax, when the war ended, Achilles' armor needed an heir. Most believed it should go to Ajax. He was the most ferocious. In the darkest moments, he had shielded the entire Greek army. But in the end, the armor was awarded to Odysseus. Ajax could not accept it. That night, he grabbed his weapons and charged into a flock of sheep, believing they were the Greek commanders who had shamed him. He slaughtered them all. When he came back to himself, he saw the ground covered in animals. He took his own life. Not on the battlefield, but in shame, in collapse. Three men, the strongest, the most noble, the most fearless. None of them finished the road. Only Odysseus kept walking. Think about something. During the Trojan War, if you asked a Greek soldier who they most wanted to follow, they wouldn't say Odysseus. They'd say Achilles, because Achilles made them believe, "Follow me and we can win." Odysseus never made anyone's blood run hot like that. He didn't have Achilles' light, he didn't have Hector's dignity, he didn't have Ajax's raw power. He was clever, but his cleverness made people uncomfortable sometimes. The Trojan horse was his idea. That plan used deception, used lies, used the one thing Greeks considered shameful, betrayal of trust. But it worked. The whole Odyssey isn't a story about how to become a hero. It's about an ordinary man, flawed, someone who loses control, who regrets, who weeps, how that man keeps going through blow after blow after blow, On Calypso's island, he walked to the shore every day and cried. In the underworld, he saw his dead mother. He tried to embrace her. She dissolved in his arms. He heard the siren's song and fought against every part of himself that wanted to go to them. He was not a man made of iron. He was the man who every single time chose to keep walking anyway. Psychology has studied resilience for years. What they found goes against everything we assume. Resilient people are not people who feel less pain. Research shows that people who keep going after enormous loss feel just as much pain as everyone else, maybe more. The difference isn't whether they feel it. The difference is they let themselves feel the pain, and then they keep walking. Achilles felt the death of Patroclus. He stopped inside that pain and let it burn away every ounce of his judgment. Ajax felt the humiliation. He stopped inside that shame and let it take away everything else he could see. Odysseus on Calypso's island cried every morning for 7 years. But every day he still woke up. Every day he still walked to the shore. Every day he still looked toward home. That isn't strength. That's something quieter, something harder. He let himself be a man in pain, and he refused to let that pain become his ending. Both things at once. That's what resilience actually looks like. Think of someone in your life or yourself. Not a grand burning hero story, something quieter. A person who's been low for a long time. No one notices, but every morning they still get up. Still do what needs to be done. A person who's been in a painful relationship, a draining job. They've been holding on for a long time. They haven't left because they know they still need to be there. A person who lost something that mattered deeply. They can't pretend nothing happened, but still, one day at a time, they keep moving. No one will write an epic about them. They don't have Achilles' light. They don't have Hector's dignity. But in their own lives, what they're doing is exactly what Odysseus did. Every day, choosing to keep walking. Achilles died at his most brilliant. He got what he chose. Eternal glory. No one has forgotten him. Hector died where he was supposed to. He stood for what he believed in, until the very end. Ajax died at his darkest moment. No glory in that death, only shame and collapse. None of these endings are wrong, they are all real. But none of them finished the road. Odysseus spent 20 years, 10 years of war, 10 years of drifting. He lost every single one of his crew. He was trapped on an island for 7 years. In the underworld, he saw his mother, dead. He watched every man who followed him disappear, one by one. He was not the strongest. He was not the most noble. He was not the most fearless. But he walked back. That wasn't victory. That was a man who had lost almost everything and still remembered where he was going. Homer never said it was easy. What Homer said was, it took him 20 years. But he finished. So one last question for you. The road you're walking right now, do you still remember where you're going? I'm not asking if you have a map. I'm not asking if you have a plan. I'm asking about that thing. The thing that makes you choose to get up in the morning. Is it still there? Because the world is never quite what you think it is. Until next time.